Good morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. So, as promised, I have some updates for the Dress Shop Dollhouse. Now, these two lovely file cabinets were gifted to me by two of my precious dolls. And in addition to getting the file cabinets, I also received filing materials. And when I say filing materials, I mean manila folders to go inside the file cabinets, and receipts and stamped checks and invoices and all types of wonderful things that will go inside the files to make everything look really realistic. And I'm so amazed at how perfect and tiny everything is. Now, dolls, I'm not one to do a lot of paper miniatures, especially printing, Photoshop, all that type of thing. So this was a super precious gift to me. Now, dolls, the two-drawer filing cabinet was made and gifted to me by my precious doll, Terry V, and that's the one that included all the wonderful filing materials. And the tallest filing cabinet with the slightly darker stain and the most drawers was gifted to me last Christmas while I was recovering from ankle surgery by my precious doll, Carol K. And Carol K is the one I refer to so often as my dollhouse fairy godmother. Now, with all the filing supplies gifted to me by Terry V, she also included a lovely little ledger. And dolls, it's actually got ledger lines. She made this little book. It is so perfect, and I love it so much, but I actually think I'm going to put it in the bottom drawer of the tall file cabinet because it fits really nicely, and I want to make sure it's handy for tax season. Now, dolls, in the majority of this video today, I'm just allowing you to watch me play. I'm having so much fun. I've been waiting so long to finally get to this project so I could put everything in the folders and the file cabinets. So I'm going to allow you to watch me play. Now, dolls, although I didn't have a specific plan, but I did have a particular look that I was trying to achieve. I want things to look haphazardly organized, to just make it kind of look like they're working and sewing and selling things and just tucking receipts and things every which way, and they'll get around to organizing it later. Now, dolls, you can see from this angle I added a small chunk of styrofoam to kind of fill up the back of this drawer because I don't have enough supplies to completely fill up all the drawers. So I just added that to just kind of take up some of the space. And you'll want to do that in certain projects sort of as a filler, especially to the parts of the project you're not going to see, so that you can save your premium minis that you want to be displayed or viewed in the front or in the most prominent parts. Now, here's a little bag of receipts and money orders and invoices and orders, and they're in all different colors. The print is so fine and perfect. I'm so excited. And I also have a little bulletin board that I want to stage and add some of these invoices and receipts to as well. Look how perfect and tiny that little blue invoice is. And because it's so perfect and cute, I want to display it somewhere very prominent. And here I'm just taking a moment to just zoom in on this little stack of papers. If you didn't see it on top of my work mat, you would think that it was actually bills, invoices, and checks. Now, dolls, look at this tiny little pink one. Now, isn't that adorable? So I guess it's not zooming very well, but I want items like this to be visible. So I'm going to kind of sort through things to kind of see how much and how many of certain items I have. So I'm going to just tuck a few in here and there until I kind of get a feel for what I have. And as I go along, I'll make whatever changes are necessary. So I really need to shake everything loose to see what I've got. Because with everything stacked so neat and so perfect, it doesn't look like it's much. But when I just kind of loosen up the stack, I have quite a few things that I could use to really accessorize the board and the drawers. And as I keep zooming in on all these little papers because I want you to see how amazing the detail is. Now, I've taken one of the little invoices or receipts and added a little dot of glue to the back and tacked it to the little cork bulletin board. So now that it's tacked to the little board, I'm adding a dot of glue. And then on top of the glue, I'm adding a tiny silver nail art stud to cover up the glue and give the illusion that it's being held to the little board by a tiny thumbtack. Now, at this point, the process was resisting me, and it just was comical to me that something so simple required this much effort. Now, dolls, this is a perfect example of a situation that would cause me to want to use excessive glue. But I calmly added another dot of glue and the nail art stud stuck. And now you can see through to the next layer of little papers and invoices, and they're all different. And that's so exciting to me because it's going to give the scene a lot of variety. And I really think the funniest part about this project that it was very simple. I was playing, but it was a lot more tedious than I originally anticipated. So I just took my time and played around. And I honestly don't think I've ever had this much fun playing with paper ever in my life. Okay, wait, dolls, I take that back. I really did enjoy cutting out snowflakes as a child. So, in order to really give things a really realistic look, I put myself in the mind as if I was on Best, where at the end of the day, I got all these receipts and due bills and orders and things to be put away, and I'm trying to clear it off my desk as fast as possible. And I'm just tucking things where I think they should go, that I'll be able to find them easily when I need them, but not so organized as to make myself think that I'm finished. Although my hands are not 12 scale, I'm acting as if I'm at best. So I really want to give things the look that possibly they had been up all night pulling things together because it's going to be time to file their taxes. So they need all their receipts and what they paid in, what they paid out, all the records they've kept over the past year of buying the house and buying the new things and the updates they've done to the house to make it more efficient for the dress shop, the dress school, taking in boarders and all of that. So I just really want to give it a look of controlled, calculated chaos. Sort of like my workstation in my craft room. Terry, I truly want to thank you again for gifting me with these lovely, tiny paper accessories. This is truly one of those gifts that I've received that I had no idea that it was exactly what I needed. Because I always want my dollhouse rooms to look busy and lived in. So paper accessories like this in an office space are really essential. And that's what's so precious about this miniature community is that everybody sees something different or has a different type of gift. And when I say gift, I'm referring to their skill. And the skill of pulling together tiny prints and papers is something I have not yet acquired. So I believe that's why community is so important. Everybody has something different to give, something different to offer. We need each other. Now, I want you dolls to take notice that although I've put the manila folders inside the drawers, I don't want to completely close the drawers. I want the drawers to be partially open, and I want a lot of my receipts and things to be visible. And you can see at this point how full my little bulletin board is getting. I'm still adding little dots of glue and adding nail art to look like thumbtacks. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and start shoving some of the loose pieces and folders into this drawer as if she was finishing up. She was tired and she can just finish it up on the second Tuesday of next week. Now, dolls, I really think this came together really cute. I'm going to leave the drawer slightly open on the one at the top, make it look a little random. So now that both of the file cabinets are filled and the bulletin board is done, let me show you how it came together. Oh, and one more tiny detail. I did add a little bit of my black stain marker to the top of some of the studs so they wouldn't look so bright, shiny, and new. And here's my little random stack of papers. I added a little dot of glue stick to the backs of some of them just to keep them in place. It's not permanent, but I think it'll hold them together nicely as I stage the rest of the items in the room. So I've got the ledger in the bottom drawer. I've got that drawer is full, this one is full, and the other one is full as well. So I'm going to leave them all open slightly so you can get a little peek at the contents. Dolls, I'm so excited about how this little project turned out, and I'm even more excited about how it's going to look inside the Dress Shop office. These items are so cute. Thank you so much, Carol K. and Terry V. for the wonderful file cabinets and the contents as well. Just got a little bit of wax there on the corner. Probably should have left it there and put a cup of coffee on the edge. And before I show you everything all together, let me show you what else I updated in the dress shop. Dolls, for those of you who are new to the channel, this is the oven that I built for the dress shop kitchen. And I wanted to add a little rack on the side so I could hang some of the utensils. So the original design to the stove had a hinge to open and close the top of it, but I removed that because it's more convenient to just lift it. And another thing I realized I wanted to change after playing with the stove is that it needed a rack. Over the past year, I've had some little issues when I stage it because the little utensils fall off the edge. So I think I need to make a more secure option for hanging my utensils. So right now I'm bending a small piece of a paper clip into the length and the shape that I want to add to the side. Now I'm not making it very long. I didn't even measure it, dolls. I'm just using a wire cutter and cutting a piece the length that I think I want it to be. Now this is pretty much the same concept that I use when I'm making little towel racks, but I'm just bending it slightly on both ends so it'll curve, and then I'm going to cut it. And you can see here I'm just going to hold it to the side of the stove to see where I want to mount it. So I'm kind of just pressing it on so it'll leave sort of like dents in the sides of the stove, so I'll know where to make my holes so that I can attach it. I know this is quite unorthodox, but it's what I did. Now, dolls, this is what I referred to as a rogue build when I originally created this stove, because this was not made from a kit. It was made totally from scratch, and I didn't do a lot of measuring or design it or anything. I just started cutting wood and putting things together. Now here I'm made some little marks where I want to make the holes. After I made my marks for my holes, I did define them by drilling all the way through, but I'm sorry, dolls, I don't have that footage. But here in this frame, I'm just gently pressing the little ends of the paper clip into the pre-drilled holes to make sure I aligned everything properly. Now that I know everything's aligned properly and that's where I want it to sit, I'm going to add a little dab of my Loctite glue to the ends of the part of the paper clip that I'm going to insert back into the holes. I'm sorry, dolls, I'm horribly out of frame at this point, but now you can see I've added the glue to the tips and I'm reinserting it back into those previously drilled holes. And after I get everything lined up, I'm kind of adjusting everything to pull it out enough so that there's enough clearance for me to conveniently hang pots or utensils to this little rack on the side of the stove. And dolls, it's kind of funny. I'm not sure why I didn't think to do this in the first place, because it really is going to make a difference when the dolls are cooking. So here I am in the front of the stove and I'm rearranging or restaging the items that I had originally on the stove. Now that's the little chicken in the pan with the gravy and the cornbread. And I do have, and I will put links for both of those videos in the description. Now, the largest copper pot I purchased, but the ladle and the smaller pot I actually made in a previous video, and I will leave the link for that as well. Now I feel so much better that I've done this tiny update on the stove, because I think it's going to make things more convenient for me and the dolls. And to me, I think this is a perfect example of why it's necessary to play with your miniatures sometime, because it'll help you to know what you need to add, create, or re-envision. Now that I've got things back in place on the top of the stove, let me go ahead and give you a quick glimpse of what the Dress Shop Dollhouse looked like before I started my renovation. Now, for those of you who don't know, the new Dress Shop Dollhouse was actually the Aunt Shirley Dollhouse, and I renamed it after I started the renovation. And although I renamed it many times, I still refer to it as the Aunt Shirley Dollhouse, because it was graciously gifted to me when Aunt Shirley went back to our creator. So the pictures you're seeing now is the way it was before I started my renovations. It was a lovely house that had been a gift to her from her husband many years ago. And it took me a while to get a vision for the house, to determine what I was going to do with it. So dolls, just like in a real life renovation, room by room, I removed wallpaper and things so I could start everything with a clean slate. And I'm so grateful for the dollhouse. So it's been lovingly renovated to suit and fit the vision I have for the house. It is the new Dress Shop Dollhouse where Aunt Bess and Aunt Janie live. And again, for those of you who are new to the channel, Aunt Bess and Aunt Janie are running a dress shop out of the dollhouse, and they also run a sewing school. And very soon they're going to be taking in boarders, which is really going to add to the story of what's happening among the dolls. So these are pictures as I've gone along with the renovation, where I added new flooring to the attic space because the attic was unfinished, because you can see that blue, that's the room that turned into Aunt Bess and Aunt Janie's bedroom. During the process, and you can see I've added the floor, and that's the staircase. And now let me show you what things look like after the furniture was added. Now this is Aunt Bess's bed, and that's one of the lamps that I made the other week. And those are some of her accessories on her night table. And I really love how cozy everything looks. I'm going to have to make some modifications to her bed because her headboard is actually blocking the window, but I'll take care of that at another time. And this is Aunt Janie's bed in her area, Aunt Janie's doll in a box next to her bed, and a lovely picture of her little nephews in a picture next to her nightstand. Now, Aunt Janie doesn't have any children, but she has a niece, and those are her children. And you can tell by some of the accessories on Aunt Janie's night table that she's a little bit more fancy than Aunt Bess. And there's her lovely doll that she keeps nearby in a box next to her bed. Oh, let me zoom in really quick to let you see these little tiny clay boots I made last year. So let me show you the rest of the attic so we can go downstairs and see the office. Now that's the stairway that divides the room, and this side of the attic is the area that's being prepared for the upcoming boarders, which will be spillover for guests when the rooming house is too full. Now there's a video for the dresser and the lamp in the description. And all those hat boxes are from the big delivery that was in a previous video, and they're just storing them until they sell. It's kind of shadowy in this room, so let me turn up the lamp. Now, for those of you who have not seen it, there is a video link in the description for that bed as well. So let's go on to the parlor. Now, this is the parlor that was originally the pink room or the pink bedroom in the Aunt Shirley dollhouse, and I've turned it in to sort of like their sitting room, resting room, or even break room during working hours. Now, I haven't done a lot to this room since the last time I showed it, other than adding a few pictures. I definitely have got to get curtains up, but I'm just kind of giving you an overview of how it looks. I've got a little candle on there on the coffee table. It's kind of bright, so let me move it. It's kind of distorting the image, but I'm going to turn the lamp up. Sometimes I like to look at my rooms in the dark just to see just how realistic everything looks. Sometimes I imagine in my mind myself walking through the house. And for me, moments like this are really a lot of fun because I'm sort of like doing mental inventory of the rooms one at a time, just looking to see what details, accessories, or things I need to add to the room to make it look more cozy, more realistic, and more lived in. So let me go on to the next part. Now, this is just a quick overview of the sewing room / dressing school area. And yeah, just giving you an overview of their sewing stations and some of the projects they're currently working on. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I just kind of want to give you a glimpse of where I am. And you can see in each and every rooms of this house, all of them need curtains to the windows. And those are some sewing machines I made oh wow, it's been a couple years ago now, hasn't it? And it's so much fun as I look at this room. I can see all the things that I've made and collected, but I also see so many things that you dolls have sent me and gifted to me that were absolutely perfect for my dollhouse projects. I think that's one of the most wonderful part of all of this. It's almost like we're all working together to create one piece of art. And each little thing, regardless of how small, adds another layer. And so now that you've seen Aunt Bess's station and Janie's unused station and the cutting table area, this station right here next to the steps is Marguerite's workstation. So now we're all done with the sewing room. So let's take these steps downstairs to the first floor so I can show you the kitchen and the showroom before I show you the office. So here we are, dolls. There's my little rack that I just created in the earlier part of the video. My utensils are hanging there. And this is another room that holds a lot of wonderful memories because I'm looking at so many things that I've collected and made, but then I'm looking at all the wonderful things that you dolls have sent me as well. So this was a really, really fun part of the project. Kitchens to me are always great because there's so many different things that are needed in a kitchen, and I had a great time putting it all together. So I just wanted to give you dolls an overview of how things look now. There are a few more things I need to do in addition to the curtains. It seems like the more I look at these rooms, the more things I can think of that I need to make or I want to make. That's why I always get amused when people talk about a dollhouse being finished because I just never believe it's ever finished because there's always something else you can do. I guess I look at dollhouses as a living work of art. Similar to my own home, there's always something changing. So dolls, we're going to continue to have fun with this. I just wanted you to see where I was at this stage. So I keep looking at things and I may need to do an inventory checklist and make a list of projects of things I need to complete in this room. But let me stay focused and move on. So here we are in the dress shop showroom. And there's that lovely bundle of hat boxes that were delivered for the spring collection. And it looks like they haven't moved much since the holiday. And I guess it's because they're preparing for tax season. And look, right above the mirror is the first dollar they made at the first Dress Shop Dollhouse. And here's a quick glance at the display cabinet that I filled last year. And it's got a lot of accessories that I created, collected, and were gifted to me. And there's a cute little dress that I purchased from an estate sale. And I see the dolls left a lot of the hangers and perfume bottles on top of the display chest. Now this lovely table in the middle of the room displays a lot of items that were made specifically for me from Jolene at Tiny Keyhole Minis. Now you see the urn filled with the fans, and then there are fans on the table, and then the lovely fan display in the form of a hand. Now there's a tiny shelf that I painted and filled specifically for this project. And then there's the big showcase that houses all the perfume and soaps that Aunt Janie makes. I'm trying to kind of zoom in here to give you a good look at it. There is a video for when I staged this showcase and made all the perfume bottles as well. And there will be a link in the description for that video. So now that I've given you an updated tour of the Dress Shop Dollhouse at this stage, I just wanted to zoom in on this display cabinet for these accessories really quick because I think the angle right here is better. So I just wanted you to see those details, and there is a link in the description for the video when I filled this as well. Okay, dolls, let me stay focused because I am just totally amused. Sitting here going through all these rooms makes me want to play, and the more I play, the more I want to play. So let's get on to the reason why we even started this video today. So let me go ahead and show you how I staged everything in the dress shop office. Now the office is right next to the showroom, and so it's between the showroom and the kitchen. And here's that first file cabinet, and you can see the stack of papers, and you can see the manila folders with the contents inside. And I really love the fact that everything looks a little bit messy and disheveled. It's like all the little things. We got mail, we got scissors, magnifying glass, calendar, and there's our bulletin board with all the thumbtacks and everything stuck in it. So I'm just glancing around the room so you can see some of the other accessories that are in the room and all the things I've created and things that I've been gifted for this project. I really love how each little piece adds another layer, another dimension. They all tell a tiny piece of the story about the people who live here. And I really feel good about the way this side of the room looks. Now let me give you a quick peek at some of the other accessories. There's my safe and the cash box. Now let me angle the camera over in the corner so you can really see that tall file cabinet. Now, dolls, I have to say I'm so tickled and amused at how this turned out. Look at that file cabinet, folder sticking out, the drawers are half open, and it really looks exactly the way I envisioned it. So, dolls, I'm really excited about being at this point of progress in this project. It feels like somehow those accessories really brought the room to life. Now, if today was your first time watching and you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. And make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll always be alerted whenever I upload a new video. But you can always look for me on Mondays after 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you enjoyed this video today, I sure would like to know what you liked the most in the comments. And dolls, I hope you know just how much I appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, I'm looking forward to seeing you right here on Little Gretchen's Workshop. Bye-bye now, dolls.